On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus took the 12 disciples aside as they walked along and told them, "Look, we're going to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and religious teachers. They will condemn him to death and hand him over to the foreigners to mock him, whip him, and crucify him. But on the third day he will be raised from the dead." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came with her 2 sons to Jesus. She kneeled down before him to make a request. "What is it you are asking me for?" Jesus said to her, "Please appoint my sons to sit beside you in your kingdom, one on your right and the other on your left," she asked. "You don't know what you're asking," Jesus told them. "Are you able to drink the cup I'm about to drink?" "Yes, we are able to do that," they told him. "You will certainly drink from my cup," he said to them, "but the privilege to sit on my right or on my left isn't mine to give. My Father is the one who has decided who that will be." When the other 10 disciples heard what they had asked, they were annoyed with the 2 brothers. Jesus called them together and told them, "You know that foreign rulers lord it over their subjects, and powerful leaders oppress them. It shall not be like that for you. Whoever among you wants to be the most important will be your servant. Whoever among you wants to be first will be like a slave. In the same way, the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." The governor motioned for Paul to respond. "Recognizing you have been a judge over this nation for many years, I gladly make my defense," Paul began. "You can easily verify that I arrived in Jerusalem to worship just 12 days ago. Nobody found me arguing in the temple with anyone or inciting people to riot in any synagogue or anywhere in the city. Nor can they prove to you any of their accusations against me. But I will admit this to you. I serve the God of our fathers following the beliefs of the Way, which they call a heretical sect. I believe everything the law teaches and what is written in the books of the prophets. I have the same hope in God that they do, believing that there will be a resurrection of the good and the wicked. Consequently, I try to make sure I always have a clear conscience before God and everyone. Having been away for a few years, I returned to bring some money to help the poor and to give offerings to God. That's what they found me doing in the temple, completing the ceremony of purification. There was no crowd and no disturbance. But some Jews from the province of Asia were there who should be present here before you today to bring their charges, if they have anything against me. Otherwise, let these men here explain themselves what crime they found me guilty of when I stood before the council. Except for the time when I shouted out to them, I am on trial before you today because of my belief in the resurrection of the dead. For Jeduthun, the music director, a psalm of David. Only in God do I find peace. My salvation comes from him. He is the one who protects me and saves me. He keeps me safe, so I will never be in danger. How long are you going to attack me? All of you against one man. To you I'm just a broken wall, a collapsed fence. They plan to throw me down from my high position. They love to tell lies. They say nice things to me, but inside they're cursing me. Only in God do I find peace. My hope comes from him. He is the one who protects me and saves me. He keeps me safe, so I will not be in danger. My salvation and my success come from God alone. God is my security and my protection. My people always trust in him. Pour out all your thoughts to him, for he is the one who looks after us. Ordinary people are mere breaths, while leaders are just fakes. Put them all together and weigh them on scales, and they wouldn't weigh more than air. Don't trust in money made by extortion or robbery. Don't be proud of your wealth, even if you are successful. Don't make money what you live for. God has already made it clear. I have heard it many times. Power belongs to you, God. You show us trustworthy love. You give back to people in return for what they've done. Wise people share their knowledge, but stupid people don't think like that. The Lord hates the sacrifices of the wicked, but he loves the prayers of the good. The Lord hates the ways of the wicked, but he loves those who do what is right. If you leave the right path, you will be severely disciplined. Anyone who hates correction will die. Those already dead have no secrets from the Lord. How much more does he know our thoughts? Scoffers don't like to be corrected, so they don't go to the wise for advice. The Lord told Moses, "Tell Aaron, when you place the 7 lamps on a lampstand, make sure they shine towards the front." So that's what Aaron did. He placed the lamps facing towards the front of the lampstand, as the Lord had ordered Moses. The lampstand was made of hammered gold from its base to the flower decorations on the top, in accordance with the design that the Lord had shown Moses. The Lord told Moses, "Separate the Levites from the other Israelites and purify them. This is how you will purify them. Sprinkle on them the water of purification. They are to shave off all the hair from their bodies and wash their clothes so they will be clean. Have them bring a young bull with its grain offering of the best flour mixed with olive oil, and you are to bring a second young bull as a sin offering. Take the Levites and have them stand in front of the tent of meeting and have all the Israelites gather there. When you bring the Levites to the Lord, the Israelites are to place their hands upon them. Aaron shall present the Levites to the Lord as a wave offering from the Israelites, so that they can do the Lord's work. The Levites are to place their hands on the heads of the bulls. One is to be sacrificed as a sin offering to the Lord, and the other as a burnt offering to set the Levites right with the Lord. Have the Levites stand in front of Aaron and his sons and present them to the Lord as a wave offering. This is how you are to separate the Levites from the rest of the Israelites, and the Levites will belong to me. They can come and serve at the tent of meeting once you've purified them and presented them as a wave offering. The Levites have been completely given over to me by the Israelites. I have accepted them as mine in place of all the firstborn sons of the Israelites. Every firstborn male in Israel belongs to me, both human and animal. I reserved them for myself at the time when I killed all the firstborn in Egypt. I have taken the Levites in place of all the firstborn sons of the Israelites. Of all the Israelites, the Levites are a gift from me to Aaron and his sons to serve the Israelites at the tent of meeting and on their behalf to set them right, so that nothing bad will happen to them when they come to the sanctuary. Moses, Aaron, and all the Israelites did everything that the Lord had ordered Moses that they should do regarding the Levites. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes. Then Aaron presented them as a wave offering to the Lord. Aaron also presented the sacrifice to make them right with the Lord, so they would be clean. Afterwards, the Levites came to perform their service at the tent of meeting under the direction of Aaron and his sons. They followed all the instructions regarding the Levites that the Lord had given to Moses. The Lord told Moses, "This rule applies to the Levites. Those 25 or older shall serve at the tent of meeting. However, once they reach the age of 50, they need to retire from the work and won't serve any longer. They can still help their fellow Levites in their assignments, but they are not to do the actual work themselves. These are the arrangements in the case of the Levites." The Lord spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert in the first month of the 2nd year after Israel had left Egypt. He told him, "The Israelites are to keep the Passover at its designated time. Observe it at the time required, in the evening after sunset on the 14th day of this month, and do so in accordance with its rules and regulations." Moses told the Israelites to observe the Passover. So they kept the Passover in the Sinai desert, beginning in the evening after sunset on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites followed all the instructions the Lord had given to Moses. However, there were some men who were unclean because they had been in contact with a dead body, so that they could not keep the Passover on that day. They went to see Moses and Aaron the same day, and explained to Moses, "We are unclean because of a dead body, but why should that mean we're prevented from giving our offering to the Lord with the other Israelites at the appropriate time? Stay here while I find out what the Lord's instructions are concerning you." Moses responded. The Lord told Moses, "Tell the Israelites, if you or your descendants are unclean because of dead body, or are away traveling, you can still keep the Lord's Passover. You are to observe it in the evening after sunset on the 14th day of the 2nd month. You are to eat the lamb with the bread made without yeast and the bitter herbs. You must not leave any of it until the following morning, and you must not break any of its bones. You must observe the Passover according to all the regulations. However, Anyone ceremonially clean and not away, traveling who neglects to observe the Passover, must be expelled from their people, because they didn't present the Lord's offering at the appropriate time. They will bear the responsibility for the consequences of their sin. Any foreigners living among you who want to observe the Lord's Passover can do so following the Passover rules and regulations. The same rules apply to the foreigners as they do to you. The cloud covered the tent of the testimony, the tabernacle, on the day that it was set up, and looked like fire above it from evening until the morning. It was always like this. The cloud covered the tabernacle during the day, and at night it looked like fire. When the cloud rose from over the tent, the Israelites would move on, and where the cloud stopped, the Israelites would set up camp there. The Israelites moved on when the Lord told them to, and set up camp when the Lord told them to. While the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained camped there. Even if the cloud didn't move for a long time, the Israelites did what the Lord told them and didn't move on. Sometimes the cloud only stayed over the tabernacle for a few days. As always, they followed the Lord's command as to whether to camp or to move on. Sometimes the cloud only stayed overnight, so when it rose in the morning, they would move on. Whenever the cloud rose, day or night, they would leave. If the cloud stayed in one place for 2 days or a month or longer, the Israelites stayed where they were and didn't leave as long as the cloud remained over the tabernacle. However, once it rose, they would leave. They camped when the Lord told them to, and left when he told them to. They followed the Lord's instructions that he gave to Moses.